Imagine that you have a packet of magic seeds, and when you plant them, your dream life will grow. Hello, my name is Seed Bag Chopra, and if you visit my seed bag shop, you will discover all kinds of seed bags to help you grow different dreams. Do you want to be a famous motorcycle stuntman in Hollywood? There is a pack for that. Do you want big muscles and defeat your enemies? There is a pack for that too. And what about if you want to become ruler of the universe and everyone bow before you? We don't have that one yet, but my seed technician Robert is working on it right now, actually.
Cocktail sausage fingerless hit the keyboard of me all ready for bedtime story about a bag of cherry stone. Cenots wrong with what? Hatless, headless, bodiless, legless, sell, gel, buy, gum. That's a nice dog top. My cat tack would love Evol, and when he smiles you can see e-snack on Fish Heads Up. I've got a new bath plug-in that makes it sound like a fridge. I'm me own, no am me own set of key teeth, yek votes for the menorimes, yek votes for the menorimes, Semiranem is unpronounceable to understand. Your ground oak, milk, bone and thistle is good for the liver-eyed slugs of ginger cat medicine, the litter tray yart retil. We're out of iced lemon, normal Desi like ice in his tea pyramid, in his pea bag. Knock, knock, knock. Who is there anywhere? You're not what I expected someone else to see. Emissot, water, retort, air, bag of plum nuts. They are indigestible. They taste like the sun. They smell like the moon of hearts, the sun of clubs, sandwich and football socket the filling, and left the bread headstone on, which is written in sandwich font Tnoff. Often I get an offer for 4 legs are better than one stiffy bag of letters forced through my lettuce box. Blood doolb, chum, much of a muchness teg gets a head leg in gel sales. New play yelp, when I see you next I'll be Ebili fingerless gloves. I'll see your 10 and raise my eyebrows. Hello and welcome once again to Fugcast, the only absurdist comedy podcast your mind back to the last episode. It was all about Bob Dylan. But this episode isn't about anything. That's right, I'm returning to my original formula of spouting absolute bollocks. It's mostly just a stream of unconscious gibberish, which I don't tend to edit. And you might say, yes, I can tell that you don't edit it, and if there's one thing that would make it at all enjoyable, it's some severe editing. And I agree, there are lots of bits of this actual podcast that would definitely actually benefit from a good bit of editing. But I'm not going to do it, am I? Currently, I pay myself a wage of £0 per hour, and that isn't enough of an incentive to try and make this podcast really good. So here we are. This podcast doesn't earn enough money to help me make it remotely listenable, which means that I don't attract new listeners because it is not remotely listenable, so I don't earn any money. If I had lots of listeners, I could earn big by doing adverts for cat food, or cat litter, or cat flap, or cat nap, or cat suit, or cat woman, or cat videos. Actually, I have recently done some voice-over work for a cat video on YouTube, and here it is.
Who's this guy supposed to be? Oh, so cute. Hey, this is my cat food. Look out! What is this? Dawn of the Deadbeats? Who's hiding in there? I am a robot. Two's company. 4 is too much. Dude, what?
Well, that was good, wasn't it? And have you noticed how there seems to be some sort of structure to this episode? Unfortunately, I fear that it will gradually dissolve, and very soon you won't be able to follow what is happening. And that's fine. If you're a regular listener, you're used to that. And if you're a new listener, I'd like you to stop. And if you're a new listener, I'd like you to please stop listening, because this isn't for you. I'm happy with my 32 or so regular listeners. They've listened to the other 31 episodes and now understand what I'm doing. I've taken down the first few episodes because they were quite rubbish, but they were also a vital introduction. What, do you think you can understand War and Peace without reading the first 4 chapters? Do you think you can understand Crime and Punishment without reading the first 4 chapters? Do you think you can understand The World According to Danny Dyer without the first 4 chapters? Do you think you can understand The World According to Clarkson without the first 4 chapters? Do you think you can understand, or is it... Do you think you can understand, or is that just me, by Richard Hammond without the first 4 chapters? Do you think you can understand Car Fever by James May without the first 4 chapters? Do you think you can understand Oz and James's Big Adventure by Oz Clarke and James May without the first 4 chapters? Do you think you can understand Story of Wine by Oz Clarke? Really? Well, maybe you can, but I didn't know what the hell was going on. What is wine, anyway? I'm not sure. Even though I had around 17 small glasses of it last night, I didn't actually know what it was. Sure, I know that it is an alcoholic liquid made from grapes, etc., but in a deeper sense, I don't fundamentally really know what it is. Or what anything is. What is Oz Clarke? Is he wine expert man? Is he a collection of atoms arranged in the shape of a wine expert man? Is he a random fluctuation of subatomic particles? I just typed that into Google, by the way. Is Oz Clarke a random fluctuation of subatomic particles? Because I wasn't totally sure that I knew what I was talking about. And Google AI Overview said, no, Oz Clarke is not simply a random fluctuation of subatomic particles. While it's true that all matter, including Oz Clarke, is made up of subatomic particles and they do exhibit random fluctuations, these fluctuations are not the entirety of what constitutes a person. Which I understand, and I wasn't saying that was all Oz Clarke is. I was merely examining the phenomenon of wine expert Oz Clarke at different scales. And if I simultaneously hold these different reality maps in my mind, then my tenuous grasp on Oz Clarke dissolves completely, and I understand that I don't know what anything actually is. But I do know that I need a shit, so I'll be back in 5 minutes. In the meantime, here's some music.
So, okay, right. So once upon a time, there was this giant cloud of dust particles or whatever, and she was best friends with this black hole, but like he was a bit draining, but like he was also super mysterious. And the cloud of dust particles was really drawn to the black hole. And like maybe she thought that he could be like her boyfriend or whatever.
3 light bulbs walk into a dingy bar, and the bartender, who is actually a female bartender, says, "What can I get you fellas?" Because, yes, that's right, they were all male light bulbs. And the first light bulb says, "I've got a bright idea," and a light bulb appears above his head. "Let's all have white wine spritzers." And the second light bulb says, "I've got a better idea," and a light bulb appears above his head. "Let's have champagne." And the third light bulb doesn't say anything because, unlike the other 2 light bulbs, it isn't anthropomorphic, it's just a normal light bulb.
If
If you want to build a small business, you need more than big muscles, brother. You have to be well organized, flexible, and prepared to make sacrifices. If you are already familiar with Excel spreadsheets that will help you organize your business, you need to keep detailed accounts records, brother. And also, you should analyze your competition. Oh, yeah. If you're a bookstore owner, then go into another bookstore and see what books they have. You could even throw their books around and say loudly, "These books are rubbish," and then flex your big muscles and leave.
So once upon a time, there was this female deer, and guess what? She was best friends with a tick that lived on her neck and drank all her blood, and maybe they could have been more than friends, but the female deer died of natural causes.
Did you know that I am highly allergic to pens? But did you also know that I have an irrational fear of pencils? So if I need to leave my wife a note, what can I do? What about crayon? No, I don't know how to use them. Could I send her a text message? No, because my phone is the Wilson 17Q and can't send text message. So do you know what I'd do? If I need to let her know that the milk is off, or the fruit is rotten, or the bread is stale. So if the milk is off, I tend to pour some milk on the table and write "the milk is off" using my finger. And if the fruit is rotten, I tend to cut it up and arrange it to form the word rotten. And if the bread is stale, I whiz it up into breadcrumbs, pour it into a tub, and hey pesto, it is a sandpit for my action figures.
So, okay, once upon a time, there was this glass of Prosecco called Jill. And that's right, she did have a bubbly personality. And she had her eyes on this big, posh guy called the name Alexander. But of course, he drank her. He didn't actually know that she was sentient.
Would you like an anatomy lesson, yeah? Like how your arm is connected to the cervix via the leg-shaped bone, which is connected to a chest of drawers, and when you breathe in, the drawers open and you see they're full of dried meat that's being cut into animal shapes, yeah? Or do you know your eyebrow muscles are connected to the drawstring on your jogging bottoms, and if you raise your eyebrows, they will fall down. So you gotta be careful, yeah? Like if you're in the supermarket and you bump into your old headmaster and he looks 20 years younger than he did 20 years ago, and he's holding hands with the first girl you ever kissed, like, you're gonna be so surprised, right? But make sure you don't raise your eyebrows or your trousers will fall down. And then they will see a little plonker, which is attached to your leg with blue tack.
Today's episode is sponsored by Jelly Soup Mo. Imagine your favourite soup jellified into the shape of your favourite sumo wrestler. Cream of mushroom, hakuyo. Cream of potato, chiyonofuji. Cream of asparagus, taiho. Cream of onion, tanikaze. Buy two and make them fight, then eat them. Like, soup-olicious, and you will instantly gain the fighting power of the sumo wrestler that it is based on, and then you can wrestle your enemies and win, and they will leave you alone. I know this works because there's this guy at the shop who shoves me around, and then I consumed a cream of ham tanikaze jelly soup and became so strong and went to the shop, and the man was there in the corner of the shop, and when I walked past he tried to shove me, but I pushed him right over and he knocked over all the tins of soup, and then I said something aggressive in Japanese and he looked so scared.
What if everything you've been told is a lie? Hi, I'm Guy, and I will tell you a lie that is, I can help you tell the difference between when someone is telling the truth or whether it is a rotten lie. For example, they raise their eyebrows so high when they lie, and that is the only way you can know for sure. And of course, the eyebrows are connected to the drawstring on their jogging bottoms, and so they will fall down.
Do you know the story? Do you know the tale of the 7 dwarfs? Well, I shall tell it to you. There was one old grumpy dwarf, and he hated everyone, and one day he was hanging around in the Tesco's car park when he was approached by 6 little men with beards made of bubbles, and they kidnapped him and took him back to their home and made him cook and clean and that. And oh yes, there was a magic mirror that lived there too, and the grumpy dwarfs became such good friends with it, and its name was Glennis, and it was a Welsh mirror. And one day he asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror, how can I escape from this house?" And the mirror said, "Wait until the little men go out shopping and then simply leave by opening the front door and walking out."
Before we start this morning, I would like to show you a picture I've drawn of ex-US President Jimmy Carter, and he is being sucked off by ex-Blue Peter presenter John Noakes, and he is being sucked off by an anthropomorphic strawberry guy. The invitation now is to rub my belly. You can do it softly, so I will make a purring sound, or you can really dig your sharp knuckles in and I will scream so loud, and then it's my turn to rub your belly. And I have a good short-term memory, so if you dug your knuckles into my belly, I will remember and I will do the same to you, but I wear lots of rings, so it will hurt a lot.
Walk into any bookshop these days and you can help yourself to any number of self-help books. I'm in my local bookshop right now, and I can tell you that not only is it filled with all kinds of books, but it is also filled with people who like to buy books, and some of them like self-help books, like this one that is called Self-Help for Dummies, or this one that is called Meditation for Dummies, and this one that is called Mindfulness for Thickos, and this one that is called Ancient Wisdom for Cretins. But are there any self-help books for non-dummies? Well, yes, I've just found a book called 17 Things That You Need to Know That Can Actually Help You, and it is written by a real expert of wellness. And I haven't read it, but my friend has, and it changed his life, and he said I should read it. But I prefer my puzzle collection. You know, it's got simple crosswords and word searches and that, and there's always a chance to win about £500, but you have to solve a puzzle. Anyway, I managed to find or create a clip of the audio version of 17 things that will actually help you, read by the author Dr. G.A. Rapastley, and here it is now.
Life, they say, is like a Tom Cruise film. It's very exciting. There are bad guys and good guys, and chase scenes and explosions. And sometimes you might find yourself hanging off the edge of a cliff. But don't worry, because you are a good climber. So if we can agree that life is actually a Tom Cruise movie, who do you want to be? You want to be Simon Pegg? Or do you want to be Tom Cruise himself? Of course, you could use a totally different metaphor. Let's say life is like a frag breakfast, with Tom Cruise starring as the sausage, and Simon Pegg is the egg, and Dame Judi Dench is the bacon, and David Schwimmer is the beans, and the woman who played Phoebe in Friends is the toast. And of course, you know that David Schwimmer played Ross in Friends, so they have a good chat about the time of Friends. And the director, who is none other than Steven Spielberg, says, "Come on, guys, get on with the acting." And they say, "You haven't given us a script or any direction. What should we do?" And that's a bit like life, isn't it?
Our house, inside a bigger house. That house, inside an even bigger house. That house, inside an even bigger house. Inside an even bigger house. That house, inside a supermassive house.
Have you noticed that the actor Mark Strong looks just like the actor Stanley Tucci? And I would say that they have a similar level of fame. Do you think their acting abilities are also comparable? Well, yes. Although Stanley Tucci is probably a bit better than Mark Strong. I've only ever seen him in that film where he goes around Italy eating, but he was pretty good in it. Mind you, I've only ever heard Mark Strong in that advert for E45 hand cream. He did the voiceover and he was quite good. But Stanley Tucci was better when he was eating all the pasta and the selection of cheese and the ossobuco and the arancini and the prosciutto and the artichokes and the milk-fed lamb and the boar sausages and the squid ink risotto and the tiramisu. Anyway, the rest of this podcast is about Stanley Tucci and Mark Strong.
My all-time favorite pasta meal is called spaghetti. I like to boil mine in water with salt, lemon, and a couple of tea bags. You can add pickled turnip, horseradish, or even preserved Scrabble tiles. The cues work particularly well.
The Story of the Cowardly Sausage by Simon.
Once upon a time, dear listener, there was a sausage who lived in a forest. Well, a plate. The trees were broccoli, and the river was gravy, and his best friend, Peter, was a pile of mashed potato. And why was he a cowardly sausage? Well, because he was too scared to leave the forest/plate. Because, oh yes, he used to have a brother who disappeared, and I suspect he was eaten. Anyway, the cowardly sausage was too scared to move. But also it was a sausage, and as such, unable to move. So you're probably thinking that the cowardly sausage's brother was eaten by a human, but I think Peter the mashed potato did it. And now let's look at the story from the potato's point of view. Once upon a time, there was some mashed potato on a plate, and a man ate it. The man saved the potato till last, because it was his favourite part. And that's unusual, isn't it? Most people like sausages best. Now, I realise that wasn't really told from the perspective of the potato, and that's just because potato doesn't tend to be conscious and so doesn't have a point of view. Although I guess, as this is my story, I could make it conscious. Yes, I could do that, but I won't. It was normal mashed potato with a bit of mustard in it and plenty of butter. Very nice. The story of the boiled egg that looked like Stanley Tucci. Once upon a time, there lived a boiled egg, and if you heard my last story, you might think that it was just a normal egg. But no, this time, it was a fully conscious anthropomorphic egg who looked like Stanley Tucci. That's right. He had glasses and a self-satisfied looking face drawn on in pen. And oh yes, he ran an upmarket bar, and one day Stanley Tucci came in with his good friend Mark Strong and another guy, and they tried to order all sorts of things that weren't available. And also, Stanley Tucci didn't seem to notice that the egg guy, whose name was Mark, by the way, he didn't seem to notice that Mark looked just like him. And so Mark said, "You're Stanley Tucci, aren't you? You're Stanley Tucci, aren't you? People say I look like you." "Oh, really?" Stanley Tucci said to him. "I think you look more like Mark Strong." And then Mark Strong said, No, he looks more like the other guy we're with." "Well, we all look very similar, don't we?" said the other guy. And they all agreed and had some drinks and some food, and then Stanley Tucci, Mark Strong, and the other guy got a taxi back to their house, because that's right, they all lived together in an egg-shaped building with glasses and a self-satisfied looking face painted on.
Potatoes. Potatotros. And these are the potatoes that I grew up with. Tucci. I'm Tucci keep. Potabnos. Tucci. I'm Tucci keep. Some of my best friends are potatoes. Bellissimo. Imagine Mark Strong's body with my head. Potatoes. Potabnos. Potatotros. Mark Strong's body double.
Have you heard of nominative determinism? It's the idea that your name has an influence over what kind of work you're drawn to. I believe it is true, and not only that, I will go further and say that I think people's names are fundamentally linked to their characteristics. Take Mark Strong, for example. He is actually a very strong guy and can lift heavy weights. Meanwhile, Stanley Tucci enjoys a leisurely breakfast of scrambled eggs and wild mushrooms with just a little parmesan, and then he'll make himself a ristretto with just a dash of perfectly frothed buffalo milk and an almond biscotti on the side. But anyway, back to nominative determinism. The conclusions of a recent Harvard study confirmed what I already knew to be true, that Paul's are a bit smug, John's are normal, George's are typically farmer men, and Richard's don't like pizza. That's just some Beatles humour there, and if you haven't heard of Beatles, go and have a listen right now, they're really good. My favourite album is Pepper, because it was mainly written by Paul, and I love his twee lyrics. And did you know that the original title of his famous song of Yesterday was Scrambled Eggs? See, you thought I was following random trains of thought. Didn't you hear the Beatles joke I'm just thinking of as I say it? John, Paul, George and Ringo walk into a bar, and the bartender, who is female, screams and literally pisses her pants. Why? Well, because John and George are both dead, so I guess they're ghosts. This joke works because back in the 60s, females did used to scream and piss their pants, and in this actual joke, the female bartender does the same, but for a different reason. Two of the Beatles are ghosts. This episode is quite intellectually stimulating so far, isn't it? Yes, it has stimulated the intellectual listeners, but what about the other 90% who don't understand big words like intellectual and are only interested in talk of anus, feces, urine, penis, testicles, ladies' privates, intercourse and passing wind? Well, don't worry, because now I'm going to tell you about how I recently shat myself. Yes, that's right, I recently shat myself. Like, really recently, like just now. I farted and followed through. It's only a small amount, though, and I'll sort it out once I've finished this bit. And now what has happened is that the intellectual 10% of listeners have turned off the podcast in disgust. They don't want to hear about middle-aged man soiling himself. You don't hear about such things on revisionist history or read about them in the New Yorker. because that is what they listen to and read, which I think makes them pseudo-intellectuals, because real, serious thinkers read big, impenetrable books exclusively and listen to classical music exclusively, even though they would rather be not reading anything and watching the new Avengers film instead, because even though it is absolutely rubbish, it is easy to watch.
The invitation now is to smell my feet. And so you might like to lift one of my big cheesy plates and give it a good sniff. And if it smells nice to you, you can give a thumbs up sign to Caroline and she will put a tick on the whiteboard. And if it smells yucky, you will give a thumbs down and Caroline will put a skull and crossbones on the whiteboard.
When a family of anthropomorphic potatoes moved in next door to the actor Stanley Tucci and the actor Mark Strong, Stanley Tucci was actually delighted. "Oh, I love potatoes," he said to Mark Strong. "I grew up with potatoes." "You mean you grew up eating potatoes?" grunted Mark Strong as he performed a weighted lunge. "These are anthropomorphic potatoes. I hear that Mr. Potato, who is the dad one, is a stand-up comic." "Oh, really?" And Stanley Tucci raised his eyebrows so high that they rose to the top of his shiny pate and stayed there for the rest of the week. And I was going to write a second part of this story in which Stanley Tucci invites the potato family around for dinner and somehow ends up cooking and eating them.
And now you can place your hands on my skin and say hello with your hands to my wonderful outer layer. Don't press too hard because my skin is quite brittle and you don't want it to crack because then my gooey center would leak out. Am I like an egg? Yes, I suppose I am. I look exactly like one really, but with a few wisps of hair on top and a pair of glasses, and my gooey center smells like raspberry.
I finally found time to read this book I've had for a long time about time. And it is about time I read it, because there's less time about these days, what with the aging process. But anyway, why am I wasting time talking about time when it's about time I told you about this book I've been reading about time? I've only read the first page so far, because I ran out of time. And I tend to set a stopwatch. Yes, an actual old-fashioned stop.
Time. What is it? Where does it come from? And where does it go? Hi, I'm a guy that is talking to you about time. I did talk to you about time, isn't it? Because there's not much time left for me to tell you about time, isn't it? Yes, I think so. And what is time? Scientists say that it does exist, and that it is running out and about time. I told you about time, isn't it?
What effect does eating pasta have on your brain? This was the question that one Harvard scientist wanted to answer when he wired actor Stanley Tucci's brain to an EEG machine.
I had all these wires taped to my head. It felt strange, like cold spaghetti.
The reason the wires felt like cold spaghetti was because that's what they were. And the Harvard scientist was actually none other than Stanley Tucci's housemate, the actor Mark Strong.
Hello, I'm the actor called the name Sean Bean. And have you noticed that I always die in everything I'm in? Well, my character does, but I shall never die, because I have a friend who is a druid, and he makes me this magic elixir, and it will help me live forever.
What would you do with 10 million pieces of Lego?
Probably built myself a massive house and a cool car, and also a hot wife.
I would put it all in the Lego bank and watch it grow into bigger pieces of Lego.
It's lunchtime in the Tucci-Strong household, and Stanley Tucci is busy frying slices of zucchini. Mark Strong is working out, and the other guy they live with is doing a crossword. Lunch will be ready in 5 minutes, guys, Stanley says. Okay, I've got another 17 weighted lunges and 19 cable crunches, and I'll be with you, grunts Strong. The other guy says nothing. So 5 minutes pass, and Stanley calls out again, Lunch is ready. I've made my special zucchini spaghetti. It's on the table now, guys. Not finished, grunts Mark Strong, who is now flipping a giant tractor tyre. The other guy silently glides over to the table. Okay, Mark, we're starting without you, calls Stanley. And there's no real ending for this bit. It's just setting the scene, really.
What would you do if you were given $10 million worth of breadcrumbs?
I don't know. It would probably make the world's biggest fish cake. Then I'd need $10 million worth of mashed potato. And also fish, probably.
Oh, geez. I've never thought about this. Can I get back to you?
I'd store an aircraft hangar for 20 years and then sell for 1,000x the price. Although I am already 90 years old, so it's a gamble.
Did you know that the actor Mark Strong has 3 grown-up sons? They are all strapping young men and look exactly like their father. And did you know that Stanley Tucci has 3 grown-up daughters, and they also look exactly like their father, with the glasses and the bald head and the self-satisfied expression? One day, Mark Strong said to his sons, Sons of mine, it is time you were wed. My good friend and housemate, Stanley Tucci, has 3 beautiful daughters, and I have 3 handsome sons. Ye shall each marry a daughter. And so it was decided, and each son chose a daughter to wed, and all was merry, and the daughters each bore a child, and they were all sons, and they each looked like a cross between Stanley Tucci and Mark Strong, and there was much rejoicing. And each grew up to be strong, yes, but also self-satisfied looking, and with a love of pasta.
The invitation now is to break through my outer layer, and you can use a straw to drink some of my gooey center, and you will find that it tastes like raspberry. Please don't drink all of it, because I need it to stay alive, but you can have a little bit. A word of warning, though, if you do choose to drink some of my gooey center, at some point this afternoon you will transform into a sort of raspberry egg guy like me.
Hey dude, let me smell that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Ugh, dude, your laptop stinks. Man, it smells like overripe brie.
That's because it is brie, shaped like a laptop, dude.
What?
Yeah, and have a sniff at my smartphone.
PU, is that Scottish cheese?
Yeah, good guess. All my electronic devices are made of cheese now.
But do they work like normal electronic devices, dude?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, actually, no, not really. They don't actually work. But they are pretty tasty on a cracker, mate. And it really cuts down my screen time. But I have gained around 17 pounds.
Cool. What are you up to this evening, mate?
Watching TV, dude. It's made of stinking bishop, which is quite runny. So I'm thinking it might melt in this hot weather. So yeah, my partner and I will watch that process. My partner's also made of cheese.
Why not have a look at my wacky t-shirt designs over at fugshirts.threadless.com. The link is in the
In the 80s, did you watch MASH heating up in the microwave? Did you watch 18 minutes later when Mother put it on the plate in Father's skull and it seeped through the vents?
When you see the actor Stanley Tucci, does he remind you of someone else? When you see him eating a large bowl of spaghetti pasta in delicious arrabbiata sauce that has come from a jar with a picture of a man wearing glasses and a self-satisfied expression on it, do you notice that the man on the jar is reminiscent of Stanley Tucci, but is not him, and is in fact ex-MasterChef presenter Lloyd Grossman circa 1994? And then you think, don't eat that, Stanley, it is probably 30 years old, and if you eat it, that will be so gross, man.
Hi, my name is the actor Mark Strong, and I am exactly what it says on the tin, which is Mark Strong. So I have very dark brown skid marks in my white pants, and they cannot be washed out, no matter what chemicals my housemate Stanley Tucci uses. There are also dark brown skid marks on the white leather sofa. But that wasn't me.
Ah, she looks like Hitler, I think. It's nice to eat an ice cream, or is it? This guy thinks he's a cowboy. This is cat pivating. A mind-blowing jump, so high. Check out Uncle's reaction.
Do you like avant-garde humour, or don't you like it very much? I do. Or do I prefer normal comedy, where a man in a pink t-shirt talks about his yellow car, and there's no punchline, he just talks about his car for ages, like 17 hours. You wouldn't think someone could talk about a car for 17 hours, but he does. He goes deep to a subatomic level, and by the 17th hour it's become so abstract that he's just making swirly arm movements and moaning. Although Stanley Tucci is married to his second wife, Pat, most of the time he chooses to live with his good friend Mark Strong and another guy. He sees his wife on the weekend, and also Mark Strong is married and his wife is called Nat, and he also sees her on the weekend. And so on weekends, the other guy they live with has the house to himself, and he likes to invite his two friends over for beers and a film. And guess what? They both look exactly like Art Garfunkel did 20 years ago. And they also sing like Art Garfunkel did 20 years ago. And oh yes, they sometimes play music together. Both Art Garfunkel lookalikes sing so beautifully, and the other guy plays his electronic drum kit very badly.
To strengthen my biceps, I repeatedly lift a fork to my mouth area. Oh, and on the fork is some rigatoni alla Zozona. Simply delicious.
When the actor Jason Schwartzman shaved his head, and then polished his head, and then put on some glasses, a self-satisfied expression appeared on his face, and soon he started getting the kind of roles that would normally go to Stanley Tucci, such as being a man that potters around Italy eating pasta. And around this time, Jason developed a close friendship with the actor Jeremy Strong, and they decided to move in together, much to the surprise of their wives. And yes, they did move in next door to Stanley Tucci and Mark Strong, and Jeremy Strong was so glad to be living next to his brother, who lived on the other side of them, and is called Chris.
Drawing a gun on a bun is like drawing a drawer on the curtains, putting a tie on a pie is like tying a pie to a rainbow. Waving a sign at a wave is like signing a pen for a waveform. Running a bar for a car.
I used to run a bar for a bright red car. Yes, a car. Not an anthropomorphic car, just a normal car. Yes, I used to run a bar. But get this, it was a fruit and oat bar. What does that mean, I hear you say? How can a man run a fruit and oat bar? But hey, listen, you're not supposed to take everything I say literally. It's more of a metaphor. The actual cereal bar I worked at where they only served bowls of cereal with hot frothy milk. My boss was a car, though. Did you know that the actor Mark Strong has a black belt in kickboxing? So he's not someone to mess with. But the actor Christopher Eccleston didn't know this when they first met on the set of Shoeshiner Man. And when he said, "Hey mister, would you like your fucking head polished or something?" Mark Strong was so angry and he went, "Hi-ya!" and did a fast kick, just stopping short of Christopher Eccleston's surprised face. But Christopher Eccleston is a standard northern hardnut, and he simply headbutted Mark Strong's foot. But Mark Strong was wearing his iron boots, but Christopher Eccleston was wearing his iron helmet. So there was an almighty clang that sounded like a church bell.
To exercise my leg muscles, I like to potter around a picturesque Tuscan town in search of the perfect spezzatino di cingoli. When I find a nice-looking eatery, I will then work my gluteal muscles as I lower myself onto a comfortable chair.
Reading Mark Strong's fitness diary, scanning Stanley Tucci's brain, grey doesn't matter. Boldly speaking, grey doesn't matter. While Mark Strong planks and battles rope, Stanley Tucci visits Rome. Milk-fed lamb and carbonara, spaghetti strands taped to his dome. Boldly speaking, grey doesn't matter. While Mark Strong squats and cable crunches, Tucci eats his lunch of veal. Artichokes with mascarpone, a selection of cheeses to end the meal. I think like a deep-fried zucchini. I train like a deep-fried five-a-side game. Do you want Mark Strong's body at 50? Do you want Stanley Tucci's brain?
People often ask me the question, Seedback, why do your seeds not work? I still have an unfun job and a horrible wife and small muscles and a rubbish car and a tiny house and negative thoughts and microscopic television that is so small that I can't see what the hell is going on, and the volume is so quiet also. Am I watching the Batman or is it Spider-Man?
Well, that's all we've got time for today. If you'd like to support Fugcast, then please look in the show notes, and there's a link to Buy Me a Coffee, which is the new way that I'm doing it, because it's better than Patreon, I think, and you can leave a tip instead of signing up to pay per month. So you could leave £1, £2,
19,
£3, Or £10 even.
1,000.
And that would really help. Thanks. And do take care. You could also leave me a 5-star review, which would be great. Thank you.
Give me some fucking money. 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 Give me some fucking money.